Hello friends, and welcome to another edition of On The Farm. In this edition of On The Farm, we take a look at the opening ceremony of the planting of 500 fruit trees across Nevis. The ceremony took place at the Cades site where Minister Alexis Jeffers and Permanent Secretary Huey Sargent, as well as senior agriculture officials, gave remarks to signal the planting of these 500 fruit trees. Stay with us when we come back. Our feature.
Fresh local fruit and vegetables produced for our nourishment. Buy local, eat local.
This message was brought to you by the Nevis Highland Administration Agriculture Department.
Thanks for staying and welcome back to On The Farm. As I said, we saw the opening ceremony of the initiative to plant 500 fruit trees across Nevis. Let's take a look.
We are here to start the planting of a 500 fruit tree project here at Cades. We want to start this process. But before we go any further, we'll ask Mr. Dijon Jeffers to ask God blessing on this proceeding.
Father God, bless this tree planting ceremony, bless this month of activities for agriculture. I just want to thank you for bringing us all out to join the ceremony, and amen. Thank you.
Indeed, it's a pleasure for us here this morning to signify the start of a 500 fruit tree planting project here on the island of Nevis. This, in my view, would be significant since we are about providing food security for our people here on the island. I am delighted to be a part of this ceremony this morning. I want to welcome all to this short but significant ceremony this morning. Without further ado, I'll call on Mr. Randy Elliott, the Director of Agriculture, to give some brief remarks.
As the department continued to celebrate its months of activity, May month, and I think this month was started under the leadership of the Minister Jeffers some 7 years ago. And we do believe that celebrations like these and activities like these continue to put agriculture in the spotlight to just show the general public exactly what is it we are doing here on the island as it relates to food security. Planting of fruit trees is just one of the other activities that we at agriculture we do to help to promote food security here on the island of Nevis. And this morning activity here in Cades would commence the starting of 500 fruit trees. For those in the general public, I think you probably would have heard about it, but we'll put it out here now. We would like the general public to be our partners in terms of this planting of the fruit trees. We would have said 500, but for those who have fruit trees, we just want you to jump on board to plant a fruit tree in your yard. For the persons who have an interest, we have about 250 fruit trees at the Prospect Experimental Station that we are willing to share with homeowners also. So it's done on a first come, first serve basis. Basically, we'll be tracking these trees to ensure that our targets, our goals are met, and we do hope that our people continue to partner with the Department and Ministry of Agriculture as it relates to food security. We would have seen a number of fruits continuously imported into the island, and we do believe that some of those fruits can be produced here on the island of Nevis. We do believe that the fruit trees that we have here locally, they are very nutritious, they're very healthy, and again, as I said, we are fighting for our people. We are trying to ensure that Nevis become food secured and nutrition secured. Thank you, Mr. Levitt.
We'll now call on Mr. Huey Sargent or PS to offer a few remarks.
Good morning, Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, Assistant Secretary Russell Jeffers, Director Randy Elliott, Deputy Director Mr. Floyd Liebert, Chief Extension Officer, staff and supporters of the Ministry and Department of Agriculture. I'm delighted that we're here today to start this project. On behalf of the ministry, we want to give our full support to the Department of Agriculture in this particular project. I'm especially happy that we are here at Cades Bay because I think on the whole island of Nevis that is operated by the Department and Ministry of Agriculture, this is the one area where you can see a variety of fruit trees. We have citrus, we have star fruit, jujube. I think we have avocados, numerous, even shaddock and mansiport. There's quite a large variety of fruit trees here at Cades Bay, and it is pretty significant that we start this project right here. As the director and deputy director intimated, we want to support homeowners as well. We want to be able to give them a fruit tree or two and to ensure that these fruit trees continue to provide food security. We have this mantra of eat local, and when it is produced local, it is far more nutritious. And as we reflect on our theme, think climate smart, food and nutrition security and sustainability, these fruit trees are part of this project and part of this effort. And I once again want to commend all who are involved in this project, and I hope that we surpass 500 fruit trees in this month of May. Thank you very much.
We'll now call on the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, Minister of Agriculture, et al., for some brief remarks.
Thank you very much, Assistant Director. Let me also recognize to the left of me, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry and Department of Agriculture, Assistant Secretary, Ms. Russell Jeffers, and Director of Agriculture, Mr. Randy Elliott. And we have quite a number of senior staff and other staff members who are with us. And also stakeholders are persons who are well-wishers of the Department of Agriculture and who are agricultural enthusiasts as well with us here this morning. I am delighted to be here this morning at this particular launch of this 500 fruit trees or trees that will be planted over the next month or more. I believe this is a significant event, and at this point in time I also want to highlight the fact that it was something that was mentioned by the Premier of Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley, as an initiative that he would like to see take place here on the island of Nevis. He would be happy, of course, that we are initiating this particular project this morning. We are also delighted from the department standpoint as we are celebrating our 7th annual Agriculture Open Day, and every year, Awareness Month, sorry, and every year we try to have a new initiation or new activity that we feel is important to continue the process of building agriculture and to making sure that agriculture realizes its true potential here on the island of Nevis. Now, these 500 trees that would be distributed over the next couple of weeks or months, one has to look at it in the context that trees, and more so fruit trees, are a part of our very existence here in Nevis, and of course right here on the planet at least. But in the context of Nevis, we want to say that trees are very important to our very existence. Every time we look at a tree, we must understand and appreciate the importance of trees to us. Fruit trees are what we are concentrating on now, but of course trees in general are important to us always. As a matter of fact, we as human beings gives off carbon dioxide, and the trees absorb that for their own existence. Trees can provide shelter for human beings, animals. Of course, fruits can be had, food, and we're talking about food security and sustainability, and that's where fruit trees would come into play, of course. Indeed, even if you look at it from the old-time days, trees were used for providing heat or fuel or whatever the case might be for cooking. So you know that trees are very important to our existence, and that is why we have to make it our business, and our efforts should be geared towards ensuring that we are planting trees throughout the entire island of Nevis. Of course, we talk about climate change as well. And indeed, the effects of climate change, of course, can be seen throughout the world and even here in Nevis. So what we are doing here this morning is a means of combating some of the negative effects of climate change, and also at the same time ensuring that we are feeding ourselves and providing the right nutrition and the right amount of food so that we can sustain ourselves into the future. I want to encourage all Nevisians to come on board. We are the ones who are spearheading this process from the Department of Agriculture's standpoint, but indeed it is an effort that should be taken on board by the entire Nevisian public. So if we are initiating this with 500 trees, fruit trees, we are hoping that as we go along, other persons would see it fit to ensure that their own backyard has various fruit trees they can certainly rely on in years to come to provide them with the necessary food and the necessary items that can be used in agro-processing process as well, in terms of making drinks, making jams, and certain items that we certainly will consume from time to time. So I want to say that this particular initiation is one that is supported not only by the Department of Agriculture, the Ministry of Agriculture, but I will say the entire Nevis Island administration, because it is a part of our thrust and our thinking that we should do what is necessary to protect what we have at this point in time so that our future can look bright and we can have a sustained and healthy future as we go forward as an island. So I want to say thank you to all who are involved this morning to making this process happen, and we wish it much success, and indeed we'll be able to realize the fruits, no pun intended, the fruits of our labor in the not too distant future if all of us were to come on board. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. And indeed, trees are important to us, and thanks for highlighting some of those importance. Also, we know that our foraging for bees, our bees-dependent trees also, and this would add to the foraging area for bees, because bees are in decline and we have to create that sort of climate for bees to forage. We'll now ask Mr. Swanston, Mr. Brian Swanston, to give the vote of thanks.
Again, on behalf of the Department of Agriculture and the Forestry staff, I would like to thank the Ministry for this great initiative. We hope the general public will open-heartedly join this project by planting fruit trees wherever they can. And food security is a must. Thank you.
Well, friends, that's it for another edition of On the Farm. We do hope that, as usual, you're inspired to take up some form of farming, be it backyard or, if you wish, commercial. The department is always ready and willing to assist you in that venture. What is special for us now is the planting of 500 fruit trees. And if you're a homeowner who is desirous of getting one of two plants, a fig tree or a pomegranate tree, you're asked to visit the Department of Agriculture soonest. It's just 500 fruit trees, and they will go on a first come, first serve basis. It is at no cost to you, except to maintain and keep well the plant that is given to you. We want to spread nutrition across the island of Nevis. This is one way of doing so. We continue to promote an eat local mentality and a buy local mentality. So until next time, I am Rohan Isles, and I'll see you on the farm.